Pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome as well of our guests here tonight. Glad you could be here with us this evening. Mr. Bill Hyde, do we have any letters of commendation?
Not tonight, Madam President.
Board members were given minutes from our July 12th special board meeting, our July 21st regular board meeting, and our July 28th special board meeting. Can I please get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve as listed.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Cox and a second by Mr. Myers. Any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We do have people signed up to speak. Mr. Handy?
Well, thank you for allowing me to speak again tonight. And I would like to start off by saying thank you. I always thought it'd be fun to go out and dig a little dirt and build a school, and it was. So, thank you for that. I gave you some papers tonight, a little bit updated on the TIP program after Mr. Conover got a hold of it. Looks a little bit better than the way I created it originally. And then there's also a letter here that I received. What I did is I notified our Baldwin County Legislative Delegation, and basically this was a response that Stephen Millet's office. It would take a legislative act to put this tip into effect, and they're in special session right now, and it felt like they wouldn't have time to do anything in that special session. The next time they'll be in full session is in February 2017. And then if we do get them to enact this act in 2017, it will be 2018 before the drilling would go out. And then we have people that have an opportunity to participate in this. So, and there are several negatives in this letter that you can look over for yourself. There are some things we need to work through. I think we can adjust the tip down to just the first two columns. The level of support and the feeder pattern, and I'll meet with Mr. Fauci about that and see if that changes his opinion of how hard we need to implement this. And then what I'm going to be working for in the interim time is as many of y'all got a letter of support, many of our county commissioners have got letters of support, our mayors and individuals, and compile all this and have it prepared before the legislature comes back in session to be able to present all that to them. I think that the letters need to be along the lines of, we need y'all to renew the 1% sales tax and the retail special tax district that Mr. Henry talks about, and the tip tax. So if we could get letters along that, and if you want to send me in directly, but I'd love to have copies of it to compile. So I'm going to continue to work on this unless you tell me not to. So thank you.
Thank you. I always appreciate all of your work.
I'd just like to say that, a lot of people like to talk about what our challenges are, but I appreciate someone who takes the time to try to help us solve the problems instead of just talking about them. Absolutely.
Mr. Fontaine?
Superintendent, colleagues, and regular board members, just wanted to say thank you. It was an opportunity of a lifetime to be able to have that groundbreaking on the 15th. I cannot tell you the hundreds and hundreds of people that I have been talking to over the last couple of months in their living rooms, on their front porches, advising them that we were getting ready to do a groundbreaking for this school, for a high school in Alberta. The people are just elated that this is an opportunity now coming to fruition. We talked about it. Since then, a lot of people have been contacting me, letting me know that the thumbs up, saying, thanks, guys, we appreciate you. Well, I want to make sure that you know that they appreciate you as well in this particular effort. We're excited. We can't wait to have the open house, you might say, when we bring in that new wing, so that they can actually see what we have all done to get a high school started in Alberta. Now, all we got to do is get phase 2 rocking and rolling, but my intention is to continue to let the people of Alberta know what good work we are doing together to make it happen in our town. Thank you again, folks. I appreciate it.
Okay. Mr. Conneff, I'll tell you and the board, if I could, Mr. Hammond, I contacted Sonny Allen, the principal at the middle school, and last week told him that I would be down with several folks to start the process of talking about their 9th grade. Of course, Dr. Wood is going to be there. We'll go over classes. We'll talk about mascots. We'll talk about colors. I'm familiar with the process, so we'll kind of talk about how it's been done, not that you have to do it that way, but, you know, get your teachers ready to sponsor clubs, those kind of things. So we'll be down to start that discussion probably within the month, and just we'll go from there.
Do we also need to plan a dedication plan so that we can know that this thing has been officially dedicated? We got to go the whole route. I'm telling you, we got to make it look good for this town. This town has been, well, you know, it's a 100-plus-year-old town, and it's been that way for a long time. A lot of people would like to leave it that way, but with the fact that we've got this groundbreaking going on, the fact we just got a new Dollar General in the town. Hello, guys, Dollar General. I mean, that's a big deal for the town of Alberta. Okay, I'm just saying, they've never seen this before, and because nobody's ever really wanted to promote it. And that's such a good thing that we've done so far. We've got to keep this momentum going, letting the people of Alberta know that we're doing something in this town. Whether we get elected or whether we don't, we still need to have that kind of motivation and dedication to the commitments that we're making to make Alberta's high school a AAA rating, whatever it is that the school is.
Probably some ceremonial things as we get ready to open the 9th grade.
Definitely that too, exactly.
And also remember, don't knock on Dollar General now. The GoDaddy vote is now,
That's
but Dollar General.
Well, and that's, we need to be talking about that too. The general manager at the Dollar General in Mifflin, she mentioned that to me, so I'm working on that aspect of it too, but we gotta keep this momentum going, I'm telling you. If we don't keep the word out in front of people, Donald Trump's playbook says this, and whether you vote for him or not, I read his book, right? The very first chapter, the very first paragraph, he says, the key to success is let people know what you're doing. And that's what we're doing, guys. By what we just did on the 15th, we're letting people know what we're doing. We need to continue that because we're doing good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Amendments to the agenda. Amendment number 4, approval of contract with Off Point Health Systems. Number 6, leave of absence of personnel. Number 7, retirement and resignations of personnel. Number 9, transfer, intent to transfer of personnel. Number 10, employment of personnel. Add agenda item number 12, administrative appointment. Add agenda item number 13, approval of contract with Baldwin County Coalition, Education Coalition. And then add number 2, transfer reassignments of personnel. Question?
Make a motion to approve the amendments, please.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mrs. Dawson and the second was by Mr. Turwell.
Yes.
Any further discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Items of business, agenda item 1, statement from Stone Grenade and Crosby Law Firm. Superintendent recommends adoption of the motion to approve payment of the bill submitted by Stone Grenade and Crosby Law Firm as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
So move to pay. I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Cox and a second by Mr. Christenberry. Any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item number 2, bids and proposals. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the low bidders meeting specifications and bid extensions for goods and services for the system as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Swiger and second by Mr. Cox. Any discussion?
I don't know, that surplus technology, is that 4.2 million we got for those computers?
Right.
What do we do with that money?
That's gonna go to pay for the Chromebooks.
And how much is that?
I think the total cost of the Chromebooks was a little over $6 million, and so it will, that will be applied towards that cost, bringing us kind of like a net, a little over $2 million net cost to go through 12.
And we, if I understood you correctly on Tuesday, we actually were able to get more for the max than we had originally anticipated, right?
We maintain over 1,000 Macs that we intended to sell for special courses such as career tech and AP, so there's 1,000 that's not being resold. So if we sold them, then that would jump the money so significantly. So it was above what we anticipated, just what we sold.
If the Chromebooks work out, do we have some more Macs that will be selling?
We have 1,000 left, but right now, again, those are being used for curriculum that is not compatible to the Chromebooks. That's really basically for Windows and career tech. But as soon as we can, we'll sell them, but by that time, the value of those MacBooks are going to be diminished significantly.
It was cheaper to retain those than to buy another computer, for protecting.
Yeah, I've seen several courses that really require that.
All the graphic design,
Yeah.
so some of the engineering.
And they're all changing. We just haven't made it the strides that most companies have to HTML5, and but that's going to happen soon.
Great job, your folks, for getting the best price, putting it on the market.
We hit the deadline. All schools have Chromebooks and are ready to go for school starts, and sold them all. So we're ahead of time.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on that? All of those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 3, approval of agreement. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to authorize the superintendent to enter into an agreement with the city of Bay Minette to make drainage improvements in the grounds of Bay Minette Elementary School, whereas the city will provide labor and equipment, and the board will provide $43,500 in funding for materials as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
So moved.
The motion by Mr. Cox and second by Mrs. Swiger. Any discussion?
Frank,
Yes, sir.
is there any plans to put a fence around that ditch?
We discussed that, and we're gonna wait to see what this, it'll only take us a week to put a fence up. But what the discussion was, we're just gonna look at the slope after the city's done and see if we felt like, and Mr. Woodson, see if we felt like we need to put a fence up there.
I mean, to me, it depends on the depth.
Yes, and actually the slope of it, we're coming out 6 foot and you're only going 6 foot. It just depends how, when he actually finishes with his design, how far it's gonna slope. So if it goes far enough out to the right, it shouldn't be an issue. But if we feel like it would be any danger to any child, we won't put a fence up.
I know that there's a tremendous amount of water on that back end, they come in.
Yes, and hopefully there won't be any standing water in there. That's the whole intent. The way they designed it, it should, as soon as it's there, it should go. But we'll keep an eye on that.
I commented at work session about, I'm just very appreciative to the city of Bay Minette for being a partner in this. They have very limited resources and they stepped up to the plate with this.
They've done a lot in the last, they've always done a lot, but in the last couple of years, they've really stepped up that campus. So, yeah.
Noticeable, but probably turning, what it was when I left, and now turning, big difference.
Well, I think the community buy-in has really improved the community
It has
around the schools.
the school and just the community in general, but, they've done a great job in the last couple of years, just moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
I think it's a testament that when your schools are good, your schools improve, the community does too. Any other discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 4, approval of contract with Alta Point Health Systems. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the contract for services with Alta Point Health Systems. We pay the local funds as amended and stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Slider, and who wants to call the second? Ms. Dawson?
Let me know.
All right. All right, any discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I have to say that Ms. Amos did an excellent job of explaining, Mike, our relationship over the years.
But I mean, that's important, that all things, I think at some point, we need to reach out, if it be through grants, whatever, and get some of that federal money, because you can, with this mental health stuff, it's breaking. And I'm telling you, if we keep adding to it, it'll just keep getting bigger and bigger. Not that it don't need it, but it's not our, I just don't know if we can handle it, in the future. If we don't get some help from the federal government, because they deem so many things as being a mental illness now that used to not be a mental illness. I would have been a mental illness problem, but, I'm glad they didn't take it then. But I mean, the money can get out of sight.
But isn't that why we have to pay out of local funds instead of federal funds, is because our federal funds?
Our federal funds declined, and I'll kind of show that in the budget hearing, but we had to shift, close to $350,000 from federal to local because it just wasn't there this next year. That kind of special ed is a complicated situation, and the local funds increases your maintenance of effort. Your maintenance of effort is something that you have to match in order to get federal funds. And so, and maintenance of effort is one of those things where it sets kind of the mark where you always have to match what you did the previous year in order to get those federal funds. And so whatever you spent locally the year before, that becomes what you have to spend going forward in order to receive federal funds,
And there's never an opportunity to readjust that, is there?
Correct. I mean, there are little minor opportunities, but there's never anything to significantly push the reset button. And that's one of those things that, if say the penny tax was not reinstated, I can't sit here and tell you that I feel confident that we can meet our maintenance of effort requirements if that was what was not in place, especially, it's going to increase about $417,000 this next fiscal year. And if it increases at that rate every single year, then I don't know if I confidently feel like I can meet that if we have a big funding loss. So,
And the extreme is, if you don't meet your maintenance of effort, you lose your federal funding.
yes,
correct?
that is correct.
Is it all federal funding? Portions of it?
That's IDA Part B federal funding. So it's, that is what is specifically for maintenance of effort.
Plus, it's a vicious cycle because we do such a great job of taking care of these students.
Right.
That more people move in because we do a great job of taking care of these students. So it just constantly builds.
There is a webinar next week that Mr. Tyler sent us on grant writing from the state, and so I'm try to participate in that and see how involved it might be, and see if there's anything in there that would be feasible for us to, the amount of time that would be to take to do some of those, so we can have a webinar coming up.
Grants type?
Or grant writing.
Okay.
And you probably, could also maybe look at getting someone that's written grants that maybe have retired in maybe another system. And, they can make, $20-something thousand a year before it affects their retirement. But you wouldn't have the benefits. You could get someone that's retired.
You're retired, right?
Well, I've never written grants, but I can talk to junk now. If I get straight to Obama, I could get some money.
This is a state, some of the state and the grant money, so I don't know if it has anything to do with, what would be federal, that is just state doing grants, so we'll look at it and see. Maybe
Yeah.
do something next time.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Did y'all go ahead, okay. Right.
Me too.
Approval of revised board policy number 605, school bus drivers. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve revised board policy number 605, school bus drivers as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
So moved.
A motion by Mrs. Dawson and a second by Mr. Tarwater. Is there any discussion?
You guys are, you mentioned it briefly Tuesday, at some point in the near future, you guys are gonna bring us some options of what we can do to kind of help offset this.
Right, Jennifer's had some, I think, some minor discussions with Scotty, about options and what is, can legally be done by you as a board. And we'll be discussing that in more detail probably this coming month.
Wait, who did they, I mean, how long have they had this law? This law has been there for years.
This law was passed in 2012. I honestly didn't know that it was there until the state monitored us and wrote us up for it.
Did they write, did on the meeting, that I never heard anything mentioned about that.
It was in the correction plan on the state monitoring audit of this year. I'm not sure, was there a meeting?
When you were talking, when you did
No,
your extra audit.
That's the examiners. This is the State Department of Education.
Oh, okay.
We get audited by a ton of different people.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I didn't know who
governmental bodies.
made that call because I knew in the meeting, they didn't bring that up.
Yeah, it wasn't the examiners, it was the State Department was doing, kind of the, I guess they do it every 3 or 4 years of monitoring.
Comprehensive monitoring. Mhm.
So when is the, if we don't change it, what is the repercussions?
Well, I mean, I think in consideration of the fact that insurance has increased for all employees, and you know, you've got bus drivers who are some of the lowest paid employees, and then this will result in them having to pay out of pocket for.
No, I
think
mean,
she was talking about-
we
No,
went down,
we
it's
didn't
a
comply.
penalty from by the state if we don't change it.
You know, I don't know that for certain, but, you know, there could always be stipulations if you're not receiving any transportation funding, you don't
Yeah,
follow the state laws. So
especially if
I
you're not
recommend-
following the law.
Yeah, that.
Scotty, no problem there?
When
Yes,
when-
but we just throw out
Just go
crazy
ahead,
ideas.
At some point, we need to start telling folks now, why don't we?
Just say that.
Good time to start.
Just not the people with the checkbook.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I understand you have to comply, the law, but if we raise bus drivers pay $50, that's none of the state's business. We can do what we want to do.
Right, that's right.
So if we raise the bus driver and pay $50 per bus driver, that means that settles the issue. And we complied with that plus all that physical money. It's just a raise.
When will we hear our options?
We can have
Mr.
those.
Tyler and I talked about possibly John and myself and Tony and getting together with this kind of league.
Right. Or probably the next board work session or anything. In September.
Hey, there was no financial penalty or whatever, it was just a warning, I mean, in that modern.
And we had to fix another correction plan, and this is part of the correction plan to change, because this was actually in our board policy, to change our board policies to be in compliance with that law.
So we got a yellow card.
Yeah. We got to
We got a renegade up here wanting to say.
I didn't say I wanted to, I just
Did
didn't
you have to
want
do it on the record?
It's hypothetical.
Well,
I like civil disobedience.
Well, I mean, you know,
I just don't want to go to jail.
I didn't say that.
I'm just wondering.
Well, y'all come visit us.
Oh, that's right, he goes to jail for it.
Any further serious discussion? All of those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 6, leave of absence of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the leave of absence of personnel as amended and provided to board members on a separate cover.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Christenberry and a second by Mrs. Whitehead. Any discussion?
Madam President, please let the record show that I'm abstaining from this vote.
Yes.
If you would go out in the hall,
You really think I'm
All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 7, retirement and resignation of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of the motion to approve the retirement and resignation of personnel as amended and provided to the board members on a separate cover.
So moved.
Second.
Austin, and a second by Mr. Tarwater. Any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
8, vacating positions. Agenda item 8, vacating positions. Adoption of a motion to approve to vacate the positions of personnel in accordance with board policy number 835 and or board policy number 882 as provided to board members under separate cover.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Swiger and a second by Mrs. Dawson. Any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 9, transfer, intent to transfer of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of the motion to approve the transfer, intent to transfer of personnel as amended and provided to board members under separate cover.
So moved.
Second.
The motion by Mr. Christenberry and a second by Mr. Tarwater. Any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion passes.
Agenda item 10, employment of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of the motion to approve employment of personnel as amended and provided to board members under separate cover.
So moved.
Second.
The motion by Mr. Christenberry and a second by Mr. Tarwater. Any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion passes.
Agenda item 11, extra work for extended hours. Superintendent recommends adoption of the motion to approve the extra work of personnel provided to board members under separate cover.
So moved.
Second.
The motion by Mrs. Swiger and a second by Mr. Tarwater. Any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion passes.
12, agenda item 12, administrative appointment. Superintendent recommends adoption of the motion to approve the administrative appointments provided to board members under separate cover.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Dawson and a second by Mr. Tarwater. Any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 13, approval of contract with Vaughn County Education Coalition. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the contractual service with the Vaughn County Education Coalition to be paid from local funds, which with services to be determined by the board in the focus area up to, but not to exceed, $60,000 for 2016-17 as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mrs. Swiger and a second by Mr. Tarwater. Is there any discussion?
Yes, thank you. I would like for us to have an opportunity to look at this a little more and perhaps spend a little more opportunity or have a little more opportunity to discuss varied types of services from which we might choose. I know the coalition does a lot of great things for us. I'm very interested in the grant area in that, something that also that Mr. Myrick said the other night. I would like for some type of investigation, exploration, whatever, Mr. Tyler, you'd like to call it, to explore the possibilities of whether or not we already have someone on staff. And certainly I'm not trying to indicate that we don't have people on staff that have free time. I'm just wondering if perhaps we have a lot of talented people, I think, that are out there. And I'm wondering if maybe, I don't know what you would have to do. I'd have to speculate, shift some responsibilities or share or whatever you might have to do that might prevail us of an opportunity to have someone who's already on staff that we can, or asked to, or under your direction, focus specifically on some serious grant writing for the needs of the school system in various places. There are all kinds of grants out there, and the needs for students in Bainbridge and the needs for students in, Orange Beach, or the need for students in Fairhope and Foley, they're all very different. And there are multitudes of grants, and if each had an opportunity to try to focus and find those grants that really apply, we might, as I looked at it, this was my thought. They've chosen the number of $30,000 to be a grant writing number, okay? And so let's say that for the last 3 years, at $30,000 a year, we have invested $90,000 in grant writing into the coalition. My question is, what is our dollar for dollar value in return? Do we have $90,000? Do we have $180,000 of grant money in return that has directly impacted the academics of our students, the student achievement, professional development for teachers who might go to national conventions or things like that? And they're very significant. They really have a direct impact on student achievement. And while there are other areas I'm interested in looking at in terms of perhaps with the coalition, I think my choice would be to remove the grant writing and to look and see if we didn't have the ability somehow on staff to find someone who could devote that time in where we might have an expectation of certain for what we're doing. And I think also that provides the superintendent, the CFO, the academic dean to say, these are the needs that aren't being met in this way or that, and we need to focus on specific grants that will accomplish these things. And can you work in that direction? Something like that. So
That's an excellent idea. But I'd also suggest that you go out and find a grant writer, someone that has done it, knows the ropes. And of course, I hope that what you all will be checking on.
Well, the state improvement grant, they offer different grants, that's what this is.
Yeah.
And so what I was going to do is watch the webinar, see if there's any that fit what we're talking about.
But it would help if we had somebody on board that's never done it. If you got somebody for a year, and if you could identify the person and you say, oh, I like that person, and they work with that person, it's kind of training them. Because I'm telling you, there's millions of dollars out there that this system could get, and we're not getting because we don't write the grants. And if you don't, it's like
and it
winning a
requires a
race.
specific focus. You have to have somebody looking directly for a grant to satisfy this need and then work toward it.
Teachers have done, we've had several
Oh, yeah,
teachers
we've
write
had
up and
teachers
get
that have done
grants, but it's, I've seen the work that they've done. I mean, it's literally a notebook
Oh, yeah,
like this.
it's a tremendous amount of work.
I have a question. Is there a way to, whether it's someone within the system or, someone from the coalition or wherever, is there a way to tie the pay to the grants that we actually receive? For instance, if someone wrote a grant and got a grant for, $100,000, could we tie a percentage as payment to the amount of the grant?
Yeah, you probably could. I think, but I still think you could probably find someone that's retired for a lot less money, that did just as good a job, Now,
If you had someone that was retired that was, maybe they have written grants and maybe they could, do that.
As I've been thinking today, after our conversation, I've had a few more questions pop up, and that's why I asked you to go ahead and come up, because I know you can answer this question right here, and I'll go ahead and throw out a couple more that I've had.
Absolutely. First of all, Mr. Myrick, Linda Sandrew is a retired educator, retired grant writer, has written hundreds of grants, has over a 90% success rate, has obtained millions and millions of dollars for districts all across the nation. And lives right here in our backyard, is a member of the South Florida Chamber, which is how I got to know her. And when I was executive director of the South Florida Chamber Foundation, her and I partnered and applied for a lot of local foundation grants. This is the very first national level federal grant that I've had experience writing, because she has had experience writing many, many federal grants. But what I do know is you can't typically when you're working your budget for your grant, they specify what you can and can't ask for. You typically can't ask for money in your budget to reimburse your grant writer. You have to come up with those funds in some other way. And the $10,000 that we used to pay Ms. Spangrud came from the summer conference, the GRIT summer conference, the sponsorships that we raised through that is what we used to pay her that $10,000. She typically charges $150 an hour, gave us a very discounted rate at $100 an hour. I mean, but she's, greatly respected and has been, like I said, done over a 90% success rate. Now doing that through us, there, as you mentioned, would save you guys having someone permanent on staff and having to pay benefits, for that individual.
Where is she retired? Where is she retired from?
Illinois.
That's why I wondered if there was someone already on staff that might could fit that.
To Mr. Myers' point, of course, Mrs. Swagger mentioned about teachers. All the time, we have teachers in all of our schools that are writing various grants. Maybe not mega grants, but they're writing various grants for projects in their school.
Sure.
You have Cherry Penn. We have the largest after-school child care in the state. She's great at writing grants for that. We have others that are in our central offices that have written grants, over the years. So I think that we can zero in on nailing somebody down with help from all the staff, and we're going to cast that net. I think I've talked to Joyce a little bit, or she's talked to me about it, Dr. Woodburn, and we're going to I've talked to John a little bit, we're going to cast that net out there and see, what pops up within our family, and maybe see if we can't massage it and redefine it a little bit.
If I may just offer one other thing about the whole grant process that we experienced with this NSF grant. First of all, it's important to do a lot of planning and involve the individuals that will be impacted by the grant, is what we learned. I think traditionally teachers have felt like things have been decided or done and they're not involved in the process. And the ones that we got on board and helped plan the project, we're so grateful to be involved from the beginning, to have a voice in what we were going to do. So moving forward, whether you use us or who you use, I would highly recommend, that as part of the process. And like I said, it does, to submit a quality grant and increase your chances of success, it takes a lot of planning. That's why it was over 900 hours to put this one together that we submitted.
I don't see this contract as a conflict, even if we do it in-house.
But if you did a contract, we were talking about, someone being retired, and if you did a contract and we paid it through the board, then it would mess with their retirement. Because you can't work for the state employee, as a state, as being the state being your employee. You can't do it. And you can only make $20-something thousand, but
that's not my point.
Yeah, your point, I know what your point is that you can pay them a certain percentage of the grants that they get.
No, that's not.
No, I think that we could pick and choose which part is offered by the coalition of services that they would provide, correct?
Kind of interrupt
No,
you.
that's not my point.
Yeah, I know.
Let's let David explain
I
his
didn't
point.
make it some point. After you make your point, I want to interject.
That's not my point.
No, I mean, your point to me is that even if we have this, it doesn't matter if we have someone on staff, we can have someone in addition. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, yes, and.
Thank you. I know what you said.
Even if we decided to do it in-house, it takes a lot of time to get that thing in motion. And this is a year-long contract, cancel at any point, for that matter.
Right.
So from that viewpoint, I don't see it as a conflict. If we get going and we're wide open with somebody next year, then that service won't be demanded unless you promise, unless that big one comes through, and then we'll look at it differently, but.
Right,
anyway.
right. So because I wasn't here Tuesday, I didn't have a chance to kind of ask some questions and kind of give input, and Tuesday night, my mind would have, my discussion and decision would have been a little bit different than I think it has now. I've spent probably way too many hours thinking about this and wrestling with this, but I do want to say that I would like to ask that the board take a little bit more time in looking at the a la carte options, so as they've been presented. I did not know that this was going to be an option. In the past, it's just been the flat rate for a year, and that was what we did. I appreciate the thought that went into this to try and give us some more options, and different dollar amounts, and what we think we need as a system, and what the coalition can provide or assist us with. The idea of the community engagement, the great conversation, working with the advisory group, the task force, and advisory groups. Without the coalition, those things don't happen. The task force only happened because of the coalition. We approved the charter for the advisory council, yet the advisory council doesn't exist because we haven't gotten to the point of approving or even choosing those members. I don't believe any of the members have even been chosen. Once we approved that charter, Mr. Corcoran decided to put his hat in for the city council down in Gulf Shores, and then the tax districts came up, and the advisory council got put to the side, and that's okay. But everybody has to understand, we're not there, and without the coalition facilitating that group and those discussions, it won't happen. We can't be the ones to do that, and I don't know who from the system can step up and do that. So in my mind, and in my opinion, the community engagement is the most important service that the coalition provides on behalf of the school system. I would like to see, even if it's just that part alone, that the board approves that part. Whether we do the grant writing, the professional development, the other services with the ACT work keys, work ready communities, the communication, I think we need to discuss that. I think this is something that's really new, and I don't know that the board, in the limited discussion that we had, or that was had Tuesday night, has really been able to agree on maybe what we do. So my question is, I know you have to plan and budget, but at what point do you need to know what the dollar amount we're willing to contribute is? Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm asking? In other words, if we just tonight decide, yes, we'd like to contract, but we're not 100% sure what services we'd like to contract with, at what point do you need to know that?
Well, at this point, the contract that we did have ended July.
Right.
July was the last payment. So, we have some funds to sustain us for a little bit, and, additional coming in from other sources, and we're increasing that all the time. But of course, the sooner the better, because we're not going to get started on something if the funds aren't going to come.
Absolutely, and I would say that if that were to even happen, the board would have to approve tonight, or agree tonight to approve something, to approve the superintendent, I, my laptop or my iPad went off, I don't remember what the wording of the
Oh, it says
recommendation
up
was,
to,
but
but
up to $60,000. So we could agree to approve the recommendation, and then next month at our work session, say only decide to do a certain percentage. I mean, that is what I would like to see happen, because I do think some of the services of the coalition are extremely beneficial. And, you know, public perception aside, you know, we can't always worry about what all of our naysayers are saying, and I know I'm gonna get phone calls and emails, and that's okay, but, you know, we have to make the decision. Be able to lay our heads down at night, knowing we made decisions on
What
behalf
you
of the
do,
system.
the contract before us tonight, the recommendation from the superintendent is a contract, and it talks about the focus area, but up to, but not to exceed $60,000. And that's what I think we need to do. I think we need to vote on that, and you're right, we can get into the details of it at a later date, but I don't think we need to put this off. I think it's too important to our mission to what we're about.
And so I had asked Mr. Tyler if we could put that on the work session for next month, have a discussion about what's important to us and what we'd like to see that contract look like, what services we'd like to see the contract with. And I think you were okay with that.
And we might have more information on
Sure.
some of the other things we're going to be exploring about Woodman, about, you know, the curriculum division, what we can't do, and need to do. Yes.
I know that was a lot, sorry.
To Mr. Christenberry's point, there's some things that need to happen right now.
That's not my point. Hey, that's exactly my point.
This great conversation needs to happen right now. May of 18, the system is sunk.
That's right.
And unless we get started right now, communicating that message, and this school system's just not doing that.
Well,
There
great
are things
point.
we're good at, some things we're not good at. So we need to contract this. Anyway, we need to do it now.
Well, I think we need to do, I think we need to vote on this tonight. I mean, it does say up to, but, I mean, I think we need to let the coalition know that, I mean, the engagement, I think we all agree, is very, very important. And I think we need to be able to give them some level of comfort that that's a service that we're gonna want.
Absolutely.
And so that they can move forward. I mean, time's a wasted, you know. It's gonna come quick.
There's two reasons I brought this to you at the work session. Of course, I've been with the coalition, you know, this year, meeting with them, as Carly has, the executive meetings. The two main reasons I felt like the need after the work session to bring this. Number one, when Mr. Tarwater looked at me and said, if we don't have the coalition, what are you gonna do? I can't remember exactly how you said it.
What's the plan?
What's the plan? I said, I can't answer that. And honestly, I could. You know, the coalition is vested in our schools in Baldwin County. That's it. It's been around for years. And it's well intended. It's all about children. It's not about us. It's all about children. The contract to me was a month-to-month contract, which tells me that, hey, as a coalition, you're going to continue to work as hard as you can to say, hey, we just hope we're there the next month, and the next month, and the next month. It's kind of like having that company that you can say, you know, I can cancel this anytime with 30-day notice. You know, and you jump on those companies sometimes, those services. So that was the two big reasons. And I guess the third one was how you broke it out. You know, because it's been a set amount. We talked about it. We consider reductions and reforming. And I told the board, I said at the work session, I think you're trying to repurpose your mission as a coalition and how you want to go out and help our system. And I see that. I'm feeling that. So that's why I brought it to y'all for the help of discussion. Because I think at the end of the day, when I answered that question honestly, well, what do? Do I turn internally then and say, okay, let me look at these central offices and let me see what principal has some time on his hands to get out there and promote our message of, you know, collaborative efforts. And I mean, that's huge. So I just want to let you know that was my reasoning for bringing it, because it's going to cost money somewhere down the road because we all admit we need help. We want help. I want help. I want to know when I go speak, that I got that coalition I can lean on, or I can help promote our message and things like that.
Any further discussion? And all of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion passes 5-2. And Ms. Burkle, I'll go ahead and turn in my notice. I won't be at the board meeting. We have a special board meeting then. Eddie and I won't be there.
That is it.
All right, well, before we adjourn, I just want to thank Ms. Swiger for leading the work session and allowing me to be a mommy. I had a senior in high school, and it was senior night, learning about the dates and money and process. Don't miss this, or you don't walk, and, you know, I needed to be there. So,
We
yeah.
tried to help with everything.
My husband has sort of started going, wow. Yeah. So, thank you for that. Thank the board for allowing me to be a mom. So, with that.
Let me just say one thing. I just realized that Monday, we start our 217th year. Isn't that amazing? I mean, the country's 240, right? That's 23 years. Some of those years have been pretty good. Some of them haven't been so good. But I just think that there's an excitement around our county over the last couple of weeks with our teachers and personnel. I don't know how it'll be Monday with the students coming back. I see a lot of excitement. I think we need to build on that positive energy and excitement of what's going on. That's longevity. And we've got a duty as a board and as personnel to our students. And I feel that we're obligated and absolutely dedicated to that. So it's a pleasure to know that we're starting 217 years together.
Yeah, that is great. And props, kudos to Ms. Zena and Mr. Tyler on the in-service. I've heard nothing but wonderful speakers.
Mr. McCray, he was right there too.
I was just asking.
We need to see the Jib Jab again sometime.
Yeah, we
though. That
do.
was just absolutely glorious.
That really set the tone. Everything out there is so positive, so uplifting. People feel so much better about, oh, we're going to school, and you're all excited. It's a big
Well,
difference.
we're
And that's
reaching out,
wonderful.
and I want to say we got Miss Bobby Beverly here, who introduced herself to me tonight, and I know I've seen her in the past. But she had, and you don't expect it, but she had some very nice things to say, complimenting things about the start of school, the institute, and those kind of things. And you don't expect it, but it's wonderful. And Miss Beverly, I appreciate those thoughts. I know Nicole and myself met for about a 2.5 hour lunch, and of course I paid, but we met and we want to collaborate and work together. So we're trying to work with all of our interests in this one goal. And of course, I was really excited. You wouldn't know it unless I told you, but Jennifer and Nicole signed on for Alan Blackburn's custodial training. For her two ladies, Tiffany and Angie and Nicole, they put on their scrubs or whatever you do. I know what to do because I would just be in my work clothes. I mean, with Ty helping out on the floors and stuff. So, and we spent all day at the custodial training, and just to get a better feel for what happens. So those are good things. Those are things you would never know that are going on. And we appreciate it.
Anything else? When I say we adjourn and we need to set up for facility. So 5 minutes?
Gary, can you get us set up 5 minutes?
Yes, sir.
So we need a motion to adjourn. Second. All right, here we go. Sorry.